Yeah, I'm Roderick Pocowatchit. I'm Pawnee, Shawnee, and Comanche. Lifelong Wichitan. I grew up here and was born here. My family is from Oklahoma, though. All my tribes are based in Oklahoma, but my grandparents moved here. He worked at Boeing, a long time ago. The earliest memory I have is, I mean, I've been dancing at powwows literally since I could walk, my mom dressed me and took me out into the arena, and there's a special kind of ceremony that you have to have, for your first time dancing. They did all of that for me, which is great. So I grew up just totally immersed in my culture. I didn't know any different, so I didn't know that other people didn't do this, I didn't know that it was something so special. Growing up just in it and around it, I think when I finally went to school and got around other kids that didn't do the same thing, I was like, okay, we're different, we have something cool about us. But yeah, and then my grandparents, like I said, I grew up around them, and they were very prominent in the native culture here in Wichita. Yeah, my grandfather, both of my grandparents were heavily immersed in their own respective cultures. My grandpa was Shawnee, and my grandma was Pawnee. But my grandfather was heavily involved in the Native American Church. It's a very religious entity. And he was heavily involved in that. He was well respected. He was a roadman, which means they would go around and ask him to come, and bring in water, things like that, and pray for people. He was often sought after to pray for them. They were some of the, I like to call them like the first waves of natives that were here in Wichita. They weren't, but I mean, it kind of, at that time, more and more natives were moving here from Oklahoma or from elsewhere because of all the aviation jobs, mostly. So they were heavily involved in helping get the Indian Center going. And there was a group of people, Jay and Vera Hunter. They were very good friends with them, and they named the Hunter Health Clinic after Jay and Vera, and my grandma was very good friends with Vera. So that just sort of circle of native people, they started their own Indian club. They would have dances, and that was before the Indian Center. They would just have dances wherever they could, because they wanted to express themselves, they wanted to take part in their ceremonies, their dances. All of that led up to the Indian Center, what we have now. And now it's called the Indian Museum, Mid-America All Indian Museum. There's a new one now, but in the old clinic, they named rooms after prominent native people, and they named one of the rooms after my grandma and grandpa. And so they had pictures of all of the people that they named the rooms for, and now they're still at the new clinic. And so my grandma and grandpa's picture is still, on the walls there, along with all of the other prominent native people who helped Hunter Health, become what it is today. Oh my goodness, my legacy. following in their footsteps, I just, want to keep doing what they taught me to do, respect my elders, things like that, respect my culture, take part in my culture. Like I said, I grew up dancing and going to powwows, and so I was just heavily immersed in that all of my life. Kid, I started out it's called a straight dancer. There's different styles of dance. I was a straight dancer. And then as I got older in teens, I became a fancy dancer, and that's a flashier kind of style. And then after that, I became a grass dancer. And that's a very traditional dance. It's from the Omaha tribe. And it's supposed to emulate grass blowing in the wind. So on the regalia, there's a lot of ribbons and flowing.
Do you still do
things.
that?
Yeah, I still dance. Yeah.
Do you do it competitively?
I don't do it competitively so much anymore. I just don't have the chance. I'm so busy. I've got so much going on. Also getting older. It's a young person's dance. But yeah, no, I still enjoy it. I still dance when I can, and still go to powwows a lot. So. I mean, just as Native people, we have a long line of storytellers, and I think my grandfather was a storyteller. He was a very funny man, very humorous. People just would gravitate towards him. And he just had such a wonderful personality. I would like to think I'm following in those storytellers' footsteps, only I do it with film. I became a filmmaker I had a very heavy background in theater. In high school, in college, directed plays, and then started working at the Wichita Eagle as a graphic artist. And then somewhere around there, I kind of got creatively stifled. It was like, what do I want to do next? I thought about quitting my job and going to film school, but the way I do things, I just kind of jump in and figure it out as I go along. So that's what I did. I studied on my own. I became involved with Sundance. I went through a couple of their screenwriting labs. Highly competitive program to get into, and that taught me, beautiful things about storytelling. I mean, I thought I knew my script, I thought I knew my characters, but you really dig in and get to know them more, and then by doing that, you get to know yourself more, because you pour yourself into every character you write or every script you write, and it's a reflection of you. One of my most successful films is called The Dead Can't Dance, and it's a zombie film. But the twist is that a virus breaks out and turns everyone into zombies except the natives. They're the heroes. So society lives on because of them. And so I try to make my stories around Native people that you might not necessarily see them in, like a zombie film, or I made a time travel movie. Things like that. So I'm a big advocate for representation of Native Americans in mainstream pop culture. I hope to keep telling stories. I think it's important for Native people to tell their own stories. So I just want to keep doing that, no matter what. I've made 4 feature films and about 25 short films, all right here in Kansas, mostly Wichita, so it's perfectly possible. So Tallgrass Film Festival here is certainly vibrant. And I've had some films in Tallgrass. I covered them for the Eagle for years now. So I think it's important to do that, to get people to go to the film festival, and experience films that they might not normally get to see. And in doing that, I started my own film festival. Called the Alternative Film Festival. All indigenous films from all across the world. Worked very closely with the Indian Museum here. Had very early talks with them, and they thanked me for coming to them with the idea, which I just thought was amazing. People just keep getting surprised at what we can do, and I just want to keep evolving as a film festival, as the founder and director. I'm already programming films for this year's festival. There's some great films out there. So I think they deserve to be seen, and I'm really proud that I've created a venue for them to be seen. I mean, every tribe.
Everyone is different.
Yeah, every tribe has its own origin story. I can't remember right now, but I think I think projects like Humanities Kansas. Trying to raise awareness of the state and the land and its people and Native people, I think is cool, because I think now there's an eagerness for people to want to know more, want to learn more about the people that were here. There were several tribes in Kansas, Kickapoos, Potawatomis, Sac-and-Fox, that are still here today and still have reservations in their own land. So I think just raising awareness about them, about what they do. I think tribes have certainly been resilient, but I think they've sort of bounced back in the age of business. I mean, they're coming into business for themselves. They're taking care of themselves and being prominent business people. And I think a misconception that some people have is like, oh, well, they have their casinos, they're fine, But the casinos are great. It lets them be empowered. But there's still a lot of fixing to do between Native and non-Native communities and people. And hopefully projects like this open up, some pathways and awareness of issues that are still prominent among Native people. I always loved the Flint Hills. It just feels so peaceful, and I love driving through there. I always stop, and just take it in. It just feels powerful and mystical to me. And my mom loved the Flint Hills too, and my grandparents were explorers. They would just, on a Sunday, they would just pick a direction and go check out a new town, or stop and eat and then come back. And my grandma used to talk about that a lot, like how they would just drive and just explore and take their time. And so I think she really enjoyed those times when they would just travel and just explore the land and the state. And I think that was something really special that they did. Yeah. I can't remember exactly. I mean, they went everywhere.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So I think they just like to explore. And there's so much in Kansas. There's so many beautiful spots and unusual spots. There's so much to find in Kansas. I think if anyone did just pick a direction, they would certainly find some cool things and some beautiful things. Well, I also like that Humanities Kansas is. I like that it's spotlighting Natives and their stories, but I also like that it's giving some of our people a chance to talk about what they do, and not just their jobs, but what their passions are. I mean, there's a lot of young Native artists in town that have started their own collectives, and just our traditional crafts remain vibrant, beadwork, things like that. I think this will help bring awareness to it and help people seek that out. Mm-hmm.